How's it going, everyone? Welcome to Morning Alpha, first edition with that name, but it's not Monday Morning Alpha. It's Tuesday Morning Alpha. It's going to switch depending on my schedule, but hope everyone's having a good morning. And yeah, this is going to be a quick one today. It's not going to be my normal hour, 2 hour long show, but I just want to do a quick run through kind of the ADP right now on Underdog and just kind of check in and see what players am I higher on, what players am I lower on. I think I'm going to make some rankings, and this will be a part of that. But yeah, just wanted to hop in real quick before I start my work day and kind of go through some stuff. So CMC, Lamb, Tyreek, JJ, Chase, I feel like, honestly, obviously I'm going to go with ADP, but I'm pretty comfortable with any of those, even Brees as well. Amon-Ra's slight tier below, but yeah, first round, obviously all pretty juicy right there. The one guy, though, I will say that I don't want to say scares me. I definitely think he has the upside to finish as RB1 and kind of because of his pass catching, really just whatever, give you those legendary seasons is Jahmyr Gibbs. But I do think we have to take into account that David Montgomery is still there. I think Gibbs will take on more of the role, but they're still Montgomery. Obviously, the team loves Montgomery, and Montgomery was super solid and going to get a lot of the goal line work. So I think this is probably around where he should go. Maybe I don't, doesn't feel nice to click him in that range though. If he was falling to like where Taylor is or like a little bit farther back, I don't think you can really push him back too far, but it's a small nitpicky thing. But that's the one guy. And then Kyron, if we knew he was coming back to the Rams, I think obviously he'd be going a lot higher than this, probably around Brees and Amon-Ra and Bijan. So in this big board where we have such little information and the season literally just ended, I think I'm actually super fine clicking him there because of the upside that he did provide. JT, I like. I think JT you can make a case for like up where Gibbs is. I think obviously he doesn't have the same pass catching upside, but it is if you haven't heard, it's half PPR. But he is in an offense that's going to be running a shit ton of plays, and he still looked pretty solid at the end of the year. He still has that explosiveness where he can break off explosive runs, and paired with a quarterback that is a running quarterback for hopefully the full season, that will increase his efficiency on the ground even more. So if we see 5+ yards per carry and 10+ touchdowns and mix in a decent amount of receptions as well, I think he has a pretty solid case. Nico Collins, he's dropped down a little bit, I think. But yeah, I think obviously with Stroud, he is definitely can go to the moon. So I think it's fine price. DJ Moore, this whole second round range of Nico, DJ Moore, MHJ, I think is an egregious pick right now. Like, I get people don't want to miss out on it, especially with the big board. People are targeting rookies, but that one doesn't make sense to me. If he was falling, I think he should be closer to back with Neighbors. If he was going in like the 30s, I'd be perfectly fine with that and clicking him there, especially if you could pair him up. Whatever, if you get a first and second round pick that are kind of a little bit more, you know what you're getting. But obviously, we like rookies. We like the upside. I'm not off that train, but just this one kind of scares me a little bit. So yeah, this whole second round, don't love, to be completely honest. Nico Collins, DJ Moore, MHJ, Rasheed Rice, Debo Ayuk. I can, I think they're probably the best ones out of that range, honestly. But Saquon is egregious to me. I almost prefer this third round of Diggs, Adams, Olave, Tank Dell. Laporta is getting pushed up a little bit more higher than I would like. I think if he was around 35, but I'm definitely still going to click him. Um, and Pittman. So yeah, the ones that I'm much lower on are Saquon, DJ Moore. I guess you like all these guys. It's not like I'm going to have zero, but I'll probably be about market at, or slightly below. But yeah, I think Achan is a big target here just purely for his spike week potential. Um, I think I think also the bias of his size comes into account a lot. And yes, he did get injured, but if he can give you 30, 40, 50 point weeks, um, just a few of those per season, I think in best ball sometimes, um, or that's pretty valuable. So he might, I think, even be worth more than the 18th pick. So like that one. Josh Allen, I don't love taking quarterback early, but um, I do think if you're going to take one, Josh Allen seems pretty solid. But I don't know. It's not. I think the reason why it's like even attractive at all would be that you can pair him with Diggs, and we don't even know necessarily that Diggs is still going to be there. I'm pretty much the most bullish of anyone I've seen on Diggs. I just don't believe that we should trust such a small sample size to end the season. I think his peripherals were still super solid. He still had almost a 30% target share. His yards per out run was just below 2. I believe it was 1.98. So didn't really look like he fell off. I think it was just some weird game scripts. Obviously, the coaching changed mid-season, screwed stuff up a little bit in terms of they were a little bit more run heavy, but Saquon definitely being propped up purely based on his name, I think at this point, and the fact that people think he's gonna get a huge contract and a really good landing spot in free agency. Definitely could happen, but 26-year-old running back who I just had a show uh, with a guy named Bush, who we were digging through some RB data, so go and check that one out. But it's like he's very reliant on explosive plays, and not a profile I want to bet on at this cost. If he was going probably 10 picks later, like where Pacheco is, I would be much more inclined to do that. DK Metcalf we saw last year, and in Dynasty, I'm pretty much completely out on DK Metcalf. I definitely don't think I would take him here over Mike Evans, Neighbors, even Waddle and Keenan. I think all those guys, I think, are just live to um, have the same amount of spike weeks and probably just score more. So same as last year, he's going around the same range. I think it's just dude can ball is kind of propping him up. He had that one really big game. So maybe in best ball that pays off his price, but not a guy I love. I think Hurts, obviously, there shouldn't be such a big gap between Hurts and Allen. They were going right back to back last year, so solid enough. And you can pair him with Devonta Smith or AJ Brown if you take those guys earlier. So pretty good price on Jalen Hurts, I think, given the fact that he has been one of those elite quarterbacks that really makes a difference. Yeah, the difference of Neighbors at 35.9 versus MHJ at what is it 19.8. Like I said, doesn't really make sense to me. So I will probably have a lot more Neighbors. Pacheco is an interesting one to me. I still think he's just very dead zoney. There as well as he has played, he still is a running back with not a lot of draft capital. It's not. I think they're still every single year live to just sign a Joe Mixon or sign a whatever kind of a vet guy to come in and just whatever provide some passing game usage. It's not a knock against Pacheco as a player necessarily. It's just the situation and how NFL teams run their organizations. So yeah, I'm not a huge Pacheco guy. I don't think I'll have a lot of Pacheco. I think I'll be just by and same goes for Rashad White. Um, Kind of similar situation where it's just like they're pretty live to just bring someone in that will take away a decent amount of work, even if it's not a ton, and that could just whatever sap a lot of their upside. Um, Mahomes and Lamar, it's fine picks here. Like I said, quarterback is pretty strong pick if they're going to score as much as they do. So I think Mahomes will obviously bounce back. Like we know, Mahomes is Mahomes. Just kind of obviously probably the worst weapons of his career. Keenan is one I'm pretty into in this range. Keenan and Cup. Keenan more than Cup, but he he just whatever was scored almost 20 points a game. I get he's old and I get they brought in Harbaugh, but I don't think he's fallen off at all. And even if they're not a super high volume pass offense, he's going to get such a big share of it that I think he can pay off at this price. It's not like he's going second round. He just scored 20 points a game and he's going in the third round. Kelsey's definitely obviously going to move up. I think he'll keep moving up probably into like this Laporta range. I think they'll converge a little bit. I think Laporta will probably drop a few spots and Kelsey will move up. So I think they're both probably end up around 35. Let's see who else I need that stand out in this range. Drake London is in pretty much the exact same spot as last year, which is pretty funny, honestly, based on how bad his season went. But obviously, there's optimism with kind of a modern offense being implemented. James Cook is actually one that I don't in the dead zone that I don't mind. I think it's really just the Bills' offense is one we want to be betting on, and while he didn't get goal line work, it's like I don't think it's impossible for him to, and it's kind of that just one thing that he's getting so much work otherwise. We saw him have some really big games, and it's just like okay, well if he runs hot on touchdowns, which you can say that about a lot of guys, but I think his role outside of that is so strong that I'm willing to click him in this range, especially if you pair him up with like a Josh Allen or something. Let's see. Higgins, Zay Flowers, Amari Cooper, Jaden Reed. I think those are kind of like a small tier for me, like this kind of London through Reed right here. And then it drops off slightly to Addison. But yeah, you need your wide receivers. Not really that much to say there. CJ Stroud, I've spoken about previously. I get why he's getting pushed up due to the Nico Collins and Tank Dell, his pass catchers being above there. But I don't know. I don't think I'll have very much. If I'm stacked up and I then I'll probably take him if he falls a little bit, but definitely not a target for me, like a quote target for me. Kenneth Walker, very much scares me just based on I know he's a good running back and emphasis on the running portion of that. But new coaching staff, Charbonnet, I think, is at least competent in a lot of areas, whereas Kenneth Walker, he has the home run hitting ability, and that's it's his one trump card. But don't know if the coaching staff is going to how much they're going to trust him, and it could be whatever. Charbonnet was drafted last year, and he's a second round running back as well. So I do think Kenneth Walker's better, but I'm not sure it really matters. Jaden Reed, we want parts of the Green Bay offense, so I'm fine with that. And he's I think because of just his profile going in and his name brand, I think he could be getting even more hype if he or was kind of a more well-known guy coming in, but I think he's fine in this range. Trey McBride, um, I really like in this range. I know he's the only reason I wouldn't be taking more Trey McBride is that Mark Andrews is going a little bit later, and you could maybe pair him up with a Lamar. But I think these are some of the strongest picks in this range are Trey McBride and Mark Andrews. Like just locking in, it's a little bit different with 20 rounds, so that you can get three tight end a lot of the time. But I think just not that many tight ends can give you huge spike weeks and also be pretty consistent. So, um, not really. I don't think there should be such a huge gap between McBride, Andrews, and Laporta being 29.5. I think in Dynasty and in Best Ball, there shouldn't be that much of a gap. Just a lot of obviously the Lions went far in the playoffs. God bless them, but don't think that should be the case. Favorite wide receiver in this range is definitely is after that is Roma Dunes. I think he'll get really good draft capital and don't he doesn't have this pristine spotless profile of MHJ and neighbors, but we still want to be betting on rookies, especially over like a Calvin Ridley, a Terry McLaurin. Josh Jacobs seems extremely dead zoney. Derrick Henry feels extremely dead zoney. Aaron Jones, and then JSN, Pickens, Christian Kirk. I like Kirk because he's a little bit cheaper, and we're like I said before, we're gonna need running backs to fill out our room, but don't love this range of wide receivers. Kamara, I think if I'm gonna dip my toes in this range, it's gonna be Kamara, just due to the fact of he still is going to catch a lot of passes and probably get goal line work. I think assume he'll be back in New Orleans. Um, so it's like I almost think it doesn't really matter if he isn't that good of a runner and if he's getting a little bit older because it's like those high value touches are going to buoy him up so much. And it's not like the Saints have a lot of cap room to play around and like do other things. It's like I still think he'll be a big engine of the offense with Olave and Derek Carr, the check down king. So yeah, and then Derrick Henry, just he looked solid last year, and I think in best ball, obviously he can still have those games where he scores 3 touchdowns, but not a profile I really want to bet on, which obviously we say every year. But JSN, I do like that they brought in the offensive coordinator from Washington, get a little bit more deep shots in there. I think it's a fine price. He's fallen a little bit. But yeah, I don't know. I just feel like we're holding on the candle a little bit too long for him. I think he should be going a little bit farther back. Let's see who else really stands out here. I mean, I think these quarterbacks are pretty good value at this cost based on the fact that I think previous years they probably would have been going up a little bit where in the 50s probably where Stroud is going. So those are good values. Hopkins, I think same thing as kind of a Keenan Allen, obviously not to the same extent where he didn't score 20 points a game, but peripherals stood up super strong. So definitely want to be tapping him if I'm behind on wide receiver. And who else? Pollard, Eckler, Pollard, Mixon. I'm very scared of, and I do not want really any part of. I don't. Yeah, I think I'll be. I don't know if I'll be at 0, but I'll be at very low of those guys. Just not very dead zoney. Not guys I want to be taking chances on. Brock Bowers, he continues to rise, and I think it is warranted. I'm not sure exactly where I would put my ceiling of like where I would stop taking him. I think probably early 60s probably would be where I would stop really taking him. Like if he gets too close to Andrews and McBride, I definitely prefer those guys. But I mean, I think he could be the tight end one in Dynasty pretty quickly if he gets a good landing spot. And from everything I've seen with grinding the mocks and just whatever mock drafts in general, it seems like he's going to go pretty high. I don't think him being a little bit smaller based on the picture next to Gronk. I think he will be a little bit smaller, but I think he'll test very well. And I think the production uh, stands for itself. So, um, Brian Thomas Jr., I think super, super good pick in this range with just the fact that he's probably going to get drafted pretty highly, definitely first round, I would say, unless something catastrophic happens. And um, I don't know. I think there should be a smaller gap between him and a Dunes. As prospects, I don't. Obviously, Brian Thomas is a worse prospect, but just based on the draft capital alone and kind of the downfield profile, I think for best ball, it's super exciting. Christian Watson being a little bit. I don't want to say left for dead. He's still going pick 83, but if we're in on Jordan Love, and I'm a little bit less in on Jordan Love, obviously, but I think I have to capitulate a little bit in the fact that he was very, very good down the stretch. If we're in on that offense, we want the guy who projects as that downfield kind of deep target guy, which Christian Watson definitely is, and also the yards after the catch. So just whatever. He's a big play waiting to happen. And this is kind of the end of the wide receivers that I really, really feel super comfortable with. I know people have coined the term wide receiver cliff, and I really think like as scary as it is, I think this is kind of like the real edge where I'm like super, super comfortable. I think Jacoby um, and Downs feel solid enough, but it's like I would really like to have, I would say probably four wide receivers before that if I really can. Um, so yeah, and then these wide receivers in this range, I think I prefer Love. I think I prefer Love and Purdy. Um, or I mean, I'm sorry, Love and Fields. Just because it feels because of the rushing upside. If he does land once he does land somewhere, I think he'll shoot back up just for the fact that he's not that good of a real life NFL quarterback, but he's going to score a lot of fantasy points. Um, James Conner. I mean, we do this every year where we kind of take him in this like late, like seventh, eighth range. And I do think it's kind of the edge of like where it's not so much a dead zony anymore. Um, and he just soaks up volume. And it seems like every single year he does the same thing. So I'm fine with James Conner, not like a target. Um, but I think I prefer Najee by a solid amount. But let's see who else do we have here. Any questions in the chat or players you want me to comment on? Let me know. Mostert feels a little bit rich to me. I understand he just had a crazy season, but it's like, do we really want to keep betting on that profile when he's 30, 32? I don't personally, but I'll be clicking him sparingly. I think one of the best picks in the draft right now is Kyler Murray. I mean, he every single like I think he's had a season where he scores 23 or 24 points per game, and he was coming off an ACL last year. So I still think we're getting a little bit of that discount. From a real life standpoint, I don't think he looked amazing, but from a fantasy standpoint, he was perfectly fine with not great weapons outside of Trey McBride. So if they get Marvin Harrison or Neighbors, I think whatever, Kyler Murray is going to go to the moon. I don't see why he can't outscore kind of like the Lamar and Mahomes-ish guys in that range. So yeah, I think Kyler Murray is one of the best picks in the draft. It just kind of sucks that probably his number one target and Marvin Harrison is going 19 and pick 19. So definitely a target for me, Kyler Murray. I don't think he should be like he's not very much different at all from a lot of these guys. Honestly, all the way up to like Anthony Richardson, you can make the bull case on just with the rushing, but yeah, very good pick there. Being discounted a little bit because of the ACL and just the situation. Um, Tyler, what's up? What's up? Good morning, sir. Romeo Dobbs, I think is a not good pick, horrible pick. I just think um, a lot of his production is buoyed by touchdowns. So we don't really want to be betting on efficiency. Obviously, Jordan Love, like we just talked about, was really good, but it's just such a crowded room. Don't really love that. I mean, it's obviously it's best ball, so like we can get away with a few spike weeks. But what is the difference between Romeo Dubs last year and this year? He was going way further back, and it's just the fact that he scored a couple touchdowns in the playoffs. So I mean, I think he should be going like pick 130 or something. I don't get this price at all. Javante is a very polarizing one for me. I don't think even when he was really good that he had a particularly fantasy friendly skill set. I think I don't know, he's going to catch passes, he's going to get some goal line work, but the fact that Jaleel McLaughlin is there, I think he's fallen a little bit, so he's going around pick 100. So I think he's fine. Like it's not a bad pick. I do think he does have upside with his second year coming off the ACL, but not a guy I'm like hammering where I'm like, oh my god, how's Javante going so low? Let's see what else here. Hawkinson should still be. Javante got injured. Hasn't looked all that special since. Was in a 3 RBBC and Peyton isn't tied. I can definitely see that case. I don't know. I want to leave the candle on a little bit, but definitely think there is a downside case for him there. So Jalen Warren, I think, is a prime like 0 RB type guy in this range with Arthur Smith entering the building. Like I said, I like Najee, but I like Jalen as well. I just think it's going to be very RB centric offense. So if he can get whatever most of the passing game work and then mix in, we know he's explosive. We know he is very efficient on the ground. So I think is a good click in this range. Swift, even if he comes like I don't think it's the most likely outcome that he comes back to the Eagles. And even when he was with the Eagles, he didn't really light the world on fire. I think he scored like 12 points a game in half PPR. So I don't know. Don't really love Swift at all. Hawkinson, I know we're getting an injury discount, but I think it should be even more. It was very late in the season. I know we're not playing for the early season, but I just don't see any reason why he would be rushing back. I think if he fell to like 120, 130, I'd be clicking him and trying to pair him up with some other Vikings. But yeah, and then we talked about the wide receiver Cliff. I mean, I think like Jacoby and Downs are my preferred guys in this range, but ideally I would like to have 4 guys before this. So if these guys are my 5th, I feel a lot more comfortable than if they're my 4th. Deontay and Marquise Brown are like my loves in Dynasty. I have like far too much of both of them, but I think I guess the bull case I will make for them is that if they get Marquise as a free agent and Deontay obviously showed that he didn't really care and I think could get cut and or moved. So that's the bull case for both of them, is just that they get a better situation. And they're going pick 100-ish range. So that's fine for both of them. Marquise has had more injury issues. Josh Downs, I think, is a super, super good pick. Obviously, the passing volume with Anthony Richardson is a little bit scary. Or I don't know if I should say that passing volume, just like the passing ability of Anthony Richardson, but actually the passing volume just in the offense and running so many plays. I think will buoy up the pass catchers, regardless of how good he is, unless he's just catastrophically bad, which I don't think he will be. Um, and we saw him this year. He was going off until I believe he got injured. Like I don't forget, it was like week 8, week 9. So I really like Josh Downs here. Really liked his profile coming in, and I think he showed enough as a rookie before he got injured, and it was with Minshew, who was competent, but think this is an offense I want to be betting on, and I picked 105. If I can get him as my fifth receiver, that's super nice. And then we kind of have this quarterback range where it's just a lot of guys, and it's like you kind of want them for stacks, same as last year. This like 100-ish range. So yeah, I mean these are quarterbacks where it's like if you do push it, these are guys that I'm fine with. Don't really have much to say there. And then obviously we want rookies. So Troy Franklin, a little bit of a slimmer build, but I think he definitely could get a really good landing spot end of the first round, or early second. One that not scares me, but just like would suck would be to the Panthers with the first pick in the second round. Um, which I guess he would get opportunity because they don't really have much else. So maybe it's not the worst thing, but really like just whatever. That's a rookie wide receiver, the guy we want to bet on, and kind of has that really explosive, like almost I want to call him Christian Watson because he's not as big as Christian Watson, but like that downfield, explosive type of player. Shakir, I don't really know how to feel about Shakir. I just think if he's the wide receiver 3, it's fine, but it's in half PPR, it's a little bit less value. If it was PPR, you can kind of make the bet. It's almost like a running back where you think he doesn't have a good draft capital and he could get someone else brought into the backfield. It's like almost the same thing with Shakir as a wide receiver. It's like, okay, he does have upside. Like if they don't bring anybody else in, or they bring in someone who's not amazing, or a rookie that's not going to do anything, he could get work and he could go off. I think he's like, as a real life football player, I think he's solid enough, but really only in Bill stacks would I take him, and it's not a guy I even feel great about. Yeah. Shakir's fragile projected volume. Yeah. I 100%. And like we're Keon Coleman and Troy Franklin like are probably going to go end of the first round or early second round, maybe even to the Bills. One of these guys could. So why are we not betting on one of those guys instead of Shakir? So, um, Tyler Lockett, it is kind of fragile projected volume, but also I think he didn't really fall off, and this is pretty cheap. So I'll still be clicking Tyler Lockett as my like wide receiver 5 or wide receiver 4 if I pushed a little bit. And then we get to this weird, like these are the last wide receivers where I even feel like remotely super like confident at all. Like the rest of these guys, it's like uh after this range, I'll really be targeting rookies. Um, just because I think though that upside outweighs any kind of just fragility in their profile, and like the fact that they could go to 0, versus a lot of these other like veterans that are just like, what is the real upside of some of these veterans? So let's see, running backs. Chuba, I like. I don't know. I just I think we're leaving Miles Sanders a little bit like for dead when I think Chuba obviously was the better back last year, but it's like, would it be all that surprising if they come in next year and Miles Sanders gets a little bit more work? Um, yeah, I don't know. And it's not an offense that is like super fantasy friendly. So he was fine last year. He's fine in this range, but don't love it. Ty Chandler, I just think they're super live to bring someone else in, a body that will take away if he's not getting a good amount of volume. I just don't love that. Charbonnet, I was talking about being a bear on Kenneth Walker, and I think I should be probably a bull on Zach Charbonnet. I think this is a classic like handcuff range. So even if he is just a handcuff, I think it's a pretty solid pick. And with the new coaching staff coming in, I think obviously there's a lot of upside there. Just with the more kind of reliable, not boom or bust type runner of Kenneth Walker. So like that. Zamir White, similar thing. Like even if he is the backup, it's a fine range. We saw him really produce at the end of the season, and if he is the starter, then you get a lot of CLV with that. Let's just roll through here a little bit quicker. Jonathan Brooks as a rookie. I think he's gotten pushed up obviously with the leg up rankings, but I think, yeah, I mean, he's probably RB1 of the class. He's coming off an ACL, but if you can, as long as you're not super thin, and you can take on a little bit of early season uh, lack of production, I think on your build, then I think he's a super good pick here. Musgrave and Kraft, it's like if it were just one or the other, I'd be super in on them. But the fact that the offense is so spread out, it's like don't love the price of either of them. But yeah, and then Blake Corum, he I don't know. I just don't think it's a fantasy profile I really want to be betting on with the fact that he didn't really catch passes. I've seen the case be made that it was because they had Donovan Edwards there, that he was just such a good pass catcher that they used him. Um, but yeah, I mean, unless he goes to like the Chargers or an offense where they're just gonna pound the freaking rock, not a guy I really, really want to be betting on, especially right next to Brooks. Like I just think Brooks is much, much, much more talented. Um, so yeah. And then Jerome Ford, I really like I mean, honestly, I was going to say zero RB guy, but really any running back room can benefit from it because I think obviously Chubb coming off an ACL, so I don't think they're going to get rid of him, but even if they do, he'll go to the moon, and if not, you still get that handcuff type guy, and I think he was very explosive. He was catching passes. Obviously, Deshaun Watson, shit human being, but if he, whatever, I think the offense should be solid enough. Um, Gabe, Adonai Mitchell are solid here. Trey Benson, let's see who else. I don't know. McConkey, he's probably going to get second round draft capital, but I'm just not in love with that. Khalil Herbert, Khalil Herbert, I think is pretty good. And I think the fact that he had Justin Fields taking a lot of carries away and just the offense not being amazing, I think having a guy like Caleb who they'll probably have more pass attempts and he'll probably get more checkdowns. And just the fact that the offense will be better, I think we were drafting Herbert like pick 95 or something, even higher than that last year. I still think he's better than Roshan. I think Roshan obviously is the better pass catcher, but I think pretty much everything else, Herbert is better, and he's really explosive. So if we're betting on the Chicago offense, we're taking DJ Moore in the second round. It's like um, that's a pretty good bet I want to make. Fryermuth scares the absolute piss out of me because of Arthur Smith, but I do think there's a little bit of recency bias just with kind of he was injured, so it's fine there. So yeah, but for wide receiver, after we get, like I said, this range of Christian Watson, Brian Thomas, and then I guess like last stop of like getting the guys I feel comfortable with are Jacoby and Josh Downs. Then it's like just hammer rookies. I don't really at the end of the day, I can talk up their profiles as much as I want, but it really just comes down to like draft capital. If they get drafted in the second round, then I'll be taking them, and they have a better chance of paying off. It's not a death sentence if they go third round, but it's like I don't think. Obviously, we saw like Josh Downs go third round, but it's not as great. Xavier Worthy. deep threat, super skinny, but if he, I think he'll get decent draft capital, probably second round. QJ, just gonna remove him from my board. Um, Jaleel, super good pick. We were talking down Javante, and I think the beneficiary of that could be Jaleel. Um, let's see, and then quarterback. If you push quarterback and you are looking for your QB3 or your QB2 and like an elite build, I think Deshaun Watson. Don't want to be the guy who's talking up Deshaun Watson, but I think this is pretty cheap. Yeah, as bad as he looked, he still his scoring wise was buoyed by his by his rushing and whatever. He's very. I think he's a super good option as a QB2 or QB3. And then Baker, I'm a little bit scared of with Canales leaving, with Mike Evans possibly leaving. So I don't think I'll be clicking a lot of Baker. Um, I don't know. I just think it's like he got that one redemption season. I think he'll be fine, but like I don't. Those two things really propped him up in my opinion. Drake May. I didn't talk about Jane Daniels. I think I skipped over him, but Jaden Daniels is a big target for me in that range. Like it's like I think when all is said and done, he'll probably be going like around that Kyler-ish range, like 80s or something when he gets drafted top three. And we see he's probably going to run super fast in the 40. And all the hype is going to get to us. So I think we should be buying in now, which his ADP has been rising. But I think the guy that's being kind of not forgotten about. He's still going to pick 152, but I don't think there's as much of a difference between Drake May and Jaden Daniels. And Drake May, just whatever. His profile is very good, and there's no reason why we shouldn't be pushing him up higher than some of these guys. So, and same thing as Deshaun Watson, like perfect, not as good. I mean, I guess QB2, QB3. Let's see who else. Thielen, I will not be taking this year, even though he looked pretty good last year. Braylon Allen, I think the fantasy community is higher on him than the NFL. He is super young, so I think in dynasty that's a different bet, but in best ball, not a guy I love. Estime, shout out that boy Spags. I think he might be the best runner in the class or one of the best runners, and he catches passes. Probably live for at least third round draft capital as long as his testing isn't crazy bad. So yeah, and then we have someone vacuuming outside of my door, so might have to cut it a little bit short because I don't want to destroy your guys' ears. But let's see who else stands out as a quick. Marshawn Lloyd looked good at the Senior Bowl. So good rookie pick. Really, what it comes down to is after that, like pick 105 range with those last ditch wide receivers. It's like I'm really hammering. Obviously, if I need quarterback or need tight end to finish out my build, I'll be doing that. Okay, good. So StreamYard is doing its job of filtering out the background noise. That's good. It's really just filling out quarterback and tight end, and then just betting on rookies. Like I think, yeah, this obviously it'll change. The equation will change as we get closer to when we get landing spots and everything, and stuff will be priced in a little bit. But this is really the time to take advantage of. I think I was talking about this in my last stream, so go check it out. Subscribe and leave a comment on any of my videos if you enjoyed it. Let me know, or make fun of me. Either one, I'm down for those. But I think the two things we want to take advantage of in both Dynasty and Best Ball are the vets where we don't think they've actually fallen off, but they're just being discounted because of their age, which I think like a Diggs and an Adams, like I think you could make a case for them in the second round over like the DJ Moore and Marvin Harrison types. I feel more comfortable with them than those guys. I get that there's some fragility there with their age, but I don't think they fell off. And I think that's those are like so those type of vets where it's like we still think they're good, but they're just like people are like, ew, they're old. It's February. I want to roster bait my dynasty roster. So that's those are the one type of guys that I want to be targeting, and then the other guys are obviously rookies, which has been talked about ad nauseum by everyone. But I do think trying to be tapped into what it does really all come down to draft capital for the at the end of the day, which is a red pill you have to swallow. But I do think obviously looking at the profiles and kind of making informed bets about who has the hype behind them, who has the type of profile that is fantasy friendly, and the NFL teams like will pay off. Um, let's see who else. Any other guys in this end range that I really want to be targeting? I'll do my once per stream shout out for Noah Fant. 214 is absolutely ridiculous. I feel like in my drafts he's been going way earlier than that. So um, caveat on that. But whatever. He's a free agent. He is super uber athletic and just whatever. Pete Carroll was using him in three tight end split. So wasn't very much fantasy goodness the last couple of years, but I think wherever he goes, whether it's a good offense and he kind of gets the gets propped up and gets a touchdown, a season where he just scores a bunch of touchdowns, or if he goes to like a bad offense and just runs all the routes, a la kind of like a K Dotton, where he's just like running pretty much all the tight end routes. I think he is a really, really good tight end 2 or tight end 3. Don't see much difference between him and some of the guys going way, way, way up here. So I will do my daily shout for that. One stack I want to call out. So, or actually, let me start with Roman Wilson. I think is NFL is going to love him, especially after the Senior Bowl. So definitely be targeting him as one of your last wide receivers. Hunter Henry, similar situation to Noah Fant. He's a free agent, and whatever we know he's a red zone threat. So that's a good bet to make here. And then one stack I really like is the Giants this late. If you need a backdoor stack, so Daniel Jones, Wandale I think goes in the 150s, and then Hyatt. Those are three guys that I think like Daniel Jones is most likely going to be the starting quarterback, and those are young players who are still ascending in that offense. So yeah, just as a backdoor stack, every single year we get these guys who are going really late, or a team where we kind of leave them for dead. And I think the Giants could be that team. I think they ran so hot 2 years ago in terms of just coaching and injuries and everything. And then last year, kind of the variance hit them, and I think they'll definitely bounce back. Roman Wilson's gotten steamed up in the 170s, 180s. Yeah, I mean, I think Roman Wilson is pretty live to go, like, I don't know if early second round, but like at least mid second round with everything that's happening. I think teams are going to love him. So, yeah, I mean, if he gets pushed up any more than that, but I mean, like, this is like the Marvin Mims, Jaden Reed range of last year was like what, 160s. I mean, that was later on in the season. So, yeah, I don't know. Wouldn't push him up too much higher, but just at that cost, it's okay. Danny Dimes, torn ACL, first chunk of the season. Yeah, I mean, true. It's just whatever. Really, it's really cheap. It's not like, oh my god, I need some Danny Dimes stacks, but it's just like if you need a stack late, I think it's fine. Let's see who else stands out here. JJ McCarthy. I mean, I'm a Michigan State fan, so I hate JJ McCarthy and Michigan, but he's been getting a lot of steam lately. So it's a little bit fragile. So I wouldn't take him in like a 2 QB build, but as their QB3, I think you can do worse. Just Um, I don't know, whatever. Maybe he gives you some late season stuff and he gets super high draft capital. And I just quarterback is so hard to project and so hard to know who is good and bad. I mean, I don't he didn't show a ton because of the offense, but who the hell knows? Same with Bo Nix. I mean, he was getting some Senior Bowl steam, but now he's been pushed down a little bit. So definitely would prefer JJ McCarthy just for the fact that he's probably gonna get better draft capital. But as your QB3, Bo Nix is not horrendous. And let's see who else here. Um, I'll shout out Greg Dulcich, who I also shout out all the time, but as a or as a tight end three, he was looking super promising after his rookie year, and then just was hurt all last year. So if he is healthy and everything is looking good going into the season, and we don't hear any bad injury news or anything going on, then I think he's just being forgotten about a little bit. So anybody else here I want to call out before I end it off? Um, Ronnie Rivers. Ronnie Rivers is one of my big uh, clicks here at the very, very end in like the 20th round. Just whatever. He was the RB2 to Kyron, and obviously he got hurt the same time that Kyron got hurt, so he didn't really get to capitalize. They could bring someone in, but if you burn a 20th round pick, it's not the worst thing. Jelani Woods, I will continue to talk up the Indy offense. And he's an absolute giant who runs fast, has a 10 RAS score. So, and he's a tight end. I mean, like he was hurt last year, same thing as Dulcich. But whatever, he could fall into 10 touchdowns and give you whatever those 2 touchdown games. So yeah, if there is anybody else in the chat that has any players that they want my takes on, I'll give it a couple minutes. But I think I'm gonna build out my ranks over the next couple days, and I will put them in the down below and share them in my next stream so you guys can roast them and tell me I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. But I hope you guys have a great morning. Otherwise, make sure to follow me on Twitter. The link is down below. I will not have a Wednesday show this week because of Valentine's Day. But I have Rusty K, who is in the Bulletproof Discord. He's in the ship chasing Discord. He's in the Leg Up Discord, big Bestball sicko and Dynasty guy, who I'm in a few leagues with, and he just banked, I think it was like a 13K or 14K playoff Bestball tournament. You know what, Tyler? She has asked to be on stream, so I don't know if I want to put that out into the world, but we could do a special edition. That would be super interesting. Zeke and Hunt seem live for bet landing spots with weaker. Yeah. We were talking up Hunt on our stream a couple weeks ago. And I think Zeke and Hunter, yeah, I think they're solid bets. We were kind of talking about obviously it's not to the same extent as Kamara with just the goal line work and the pass catching. I think both those guys are just reliable vets who can do that sort of stuff. So they definitely could get a role doing that and pay off their 18th to 20th round ADP. So Friday we'll have Rusty on, so be sure to come check that out. I think he's a super smart basketball mind, and if there's anything else that you guys need from me, be sure to leave a comment and share with anyone who you think would enjoy. So yeah, have a great one, guys, and I will try to work on some ranks, and I will see you Friday. Thanks so much. Have a good one.